And here we go. I'm excited. Are you excited? Um, Good evening. I'm a little tired today, but I wanted to go over some stuff. I've been having some revelations while my dogs are playing. I don't know if y'all can hear. While can while thinking about building this world, this storyboard, or creating this world that I'm writing about, and I don't want to focus on the bad guys, right? I don't want to glorify them, but there's a certain amount of attention that has to be applied to the character archetype to be able to make the story resonate with people. If they, do you mind? Anyway, for it to resonate with folks, and uh, and so today I was going to go over in the book of Enoch 8. I'm going to be going over exactly what the characters for the suns, the title of the show, right? The sun, the moon, the stars, and the earth. Will you give me 1 second? Oh, come on, lock up. Let's go. Lock up. Go. 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 Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Boom. Good evening. Hi Zeb. Hi Jenny. Um, I'd never be able to concentrate with all that going on behind me. So, going over the character archetypes for the one in the book of Enoch 8. I'm going to read you the whole chapter. It's very short, three verses in all. And Azazel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates. It made known them the metals of the earth, in the art of working them, and bracelets and ornaments, and the use of antimony, and the beautifying of the eyelids. Antimony, by the way, is the thing the Egyptians used to blacken their eyes. And all kinds of costly stones and all coloring tinctures. There's another version. I was going over I had to look up tincture. I didn't know what that meant. We won't be talking about Azazel that much, but I just let me show you how I believe the Father made a connection in my life, because I didn't exactly know what tincture meant. I had to look it up. I had to um to allow Google to define it for me. And the way that it's defined, I don't have pulled up, and I don't want any dead air, but it was there were several different definitions, and it made me think about looking through a colored stone and seeing the world differently. And there is a version. I personally recommend the R.H. Charles version. And unfortunately, the way Audible is set up, I don't know uh, which version I bought, but it is different. But the way that it's translated in that version is um, is the way that people see things, the way that they view the world. And I found that to be interesting because I thought about that looking up the definition of tincture, and I was thinking about how he manipulates people. We really take for granted um, how we're affected by the seeds planted in our life. And so I just thought it was really interesting that when I bought another version on Audible so I could listen to it, that's how they translated it. And I was like, so maybe confirmation there. Anyway, today's not about Azazel's character. Um, and there arose much godlessness, and they committed fornication, and they were led astray, and became corrupt in all their ways. Shemyaza taught enchantments and root cutting. Uh, Forgive my pronunciations. Amarmaros, the resolving of enchantments. Barachiel taught astrology. Kokabel, the constellations. Ezekiel, the knowledge of the clouds. He will be our weatherman. Barachiel, the signs of the earth. Shamshael, the signs of the sun. And Sariel, the course of the moon. And as men perished, they cried, and their cry went up to heaven. As I was building these characters in this, they're not all written out yet, but I am working on it. I got into a little. I didn't exactly know signs of the earth. When you really thinking about that. Like, what does that mean exactly? And I don't know. I don't know exactly. I am puzzled by that. But as I'm trying to build characters that corrupt men and lead them astray, it became even harder to define a character that was the signs of the sun and the one Sariel, the course of the moon, and especially the earth. Now I'm going to save him for last. Later on, this is the concordance that I bought. Later on, it describes when it lists all of the angels in 7, I believe. 6. In 6, there's one named. All this is going to come together in just a second, but I want to take this slow so that you understand how I'm building it. It lists the chiefs of tens, and I was thinking about that. One of these characters, it basically means a star that rises above. It's the way it's defined in here, and I should have had it open. I apologize. But as I'm building this world, I realized that the one that represents the stars. I don't know why I'm not seeing their name. I think that the R.H. Charles version was translated slightly differently. Anyway, the way that they enter the scene, it's going to be your movie star type. The way it's defined in this book right here, I need to find it so that you understand where I was coming from, and I don't sound so. Kokriel. This is verse 8 of. All right, let me get to the definition. A lot of times, hang on, just give me a minute. Kokriel, original Kokabil, means the star of God. This angel is mentioned among the 7 names in Enoch 8, chapter 8 and 21. It's in his notes. His place as one of the leaders of the rebels is reflected in the tale of the fallen angel in Isaiah 14:13, wherein the name is directly implied. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars. Kokabi of God, El. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. And I want to tell you if that sounds confusion, because most of us here have been taught about the great Satan or Lucifer. This person he uses a lot of the scripture to say because he goes back to the Hebrew, he doesn't believe there's some that we've been taught, oh, that's just talking about the devil, that's just talking about the devil. And he's saying that the way that it actually translates, they're talking to different, this is a devil and a devil. Anyway, the stars were the way that I've built these characters. They are the ones that show the glamour of the spotlight. Sometimes they get a little political, but their thing is the stardom, starhood. Many of them will aspire to leave where they're at to go to the city of angels. So you kind of see how that is. Again, saving the one for the signs of the earth for last, because I want to show you how real this is. And I'm not making the claim that that there are fallen angels in the flesh walking around, but possibly. I can't get it out of my mind because I just see it. And I started thinking about what the chiefs of tens meant, and how we see all these commercials that say, well, 9 out of 10 doctors say this. And when I was thinking of this, I know that in the book of Enoch, all this has happened in the past. Again, I'm building a world here that reflects what Enoch went through and what other people are seemingly going through, just not to that extent, falling short of some of these other characters. But when I thought about 9 out of 10 doctors say this, or agree to take this or use this medication. I was like, well, where's the 10th one? Like, the world is belongs to, the kingdoms of the earth belong to the fallen ones. Um, so where's the 10th one? And it made me think about that incursion. Now I know all 200 of them went to Tartarus, but anyway, hang on, let me catch up with y'all. Nothing new under the sun. Yes, ma'am, average girl. That is the entire idea of this storyline, is that there's no way that we shouldn't see uh, elements of the things that we read about. We know there won't be an earthly flood again, as God decreed it. He's not a liar, but we should see elements of the things that we read about. Seen too much with my own eyes and felt too much with my discernment. Yes, ma'am. Me too. I can feel it more than I see, but I've seen far too much too. Um, and so anyway, I really began to think about the signs of the sun and the signs of the moon, and what that meant, and how do you build that into character archetypes to keep a reader interested, even if they're not Christian, even if the least of these, those that will be called by, I was in, if I take myself back to 2016 and someone gave me the opportunity to listen to a story, because I was too lazy to read it myself, but someone made a production on YouTube, and they made it entertaining, and it wasn't so churchy, but the truth was in it. I would have paid attention to it. But if it's only for people with a certain set of beliefs, then we lose those that we're supposed to be reaching out to. And so I decided in this that the one that teaches the signs of the sun, there's, you see the chiefs in the story, but they're in the political arena. They're the ones that you turn on C-SPAN and they're there, and the Hegelian dialectic is there, but the other 9 of them are kind of working with that, and I'll work that in on the story. But the ones that show the signs of the sun and the shining light and have it all in themselves and making people believe in them and worship them in this story, that's what they're going to represent. And then after thinking about that and being confident with that decision, excuse me, I started thinking about the one that showed the signs of the moon and the Ezekiel, Serial, the course of the moon. And I thought, how do you do that? Like, I know it's got different phases, and they get into eclipse, and what do I mimic? Anyway, I'm gonna just keep going because I'm lost. Um, the courses of the moon, and I thought law, like those in law. So if the ones that represent the sun are the political arena, the ones that will be representing the courses of the moon are those in more of the legal, the the judicial side of this kingdom built by fallen entities, and they have people that work for them, and all different laws would reflect um, the different phases of the moon. And this is where a lot of the serpents hang out in. And I say that because in Enoch 22, this has helped me to build, or begin to build, some of my my angelic, the archangel characters. I'm taking much more precaution with them because um, I would just like to do it respectfully, and I want to make sure that it plants the seeds of hope, even if I'm totally wrong and it's not Michael's personality. I'm not trying to glorify them. It's in the story they're going to be giving glory to the Father, but they they um they have to have a certain personality to write about them, right? If they're going to be having human interactions with people. And Greek glory, sorry. Where is chapter? You know what? I know where the chapter is on here. So I'm going to do it this way so I don't have dead air. Anyway, we're talking about the law. courses of the moon, there would be the two different sides again. Some laws that reflect this, or some laws that lean, this way. And there's even, I was thinking about what an eclipse means, and there seem to be laws, like, you remember a few years ago, there were cities up north that had built laws in where they could just go in and basically kick in someone's door and say, we've considered you a hazard, we're disarming you. And a lot of people lost their lives. That's the dark side of the eclipse, right? Like, how is that a law? So it does work the way that I don't know if I'm vocalizing it right, but the symbolism of it, and at least building this world, it it really makes total sense to me. Maybe subject to change, but I don't think so. Chapter 20. As Raphael, the angel, was with him, he said, no, is it 20 or 22? 20. These are the names of the holy angels. Uriel, one of the holy angels over the world in Tartarus. Raphael, one of the holy angels who's over the spirits of men. Raguel, one of the holy angels who takes vengeance on the world of the luminaries. I would think that they're terrified of him, and act with severe reverence when he happens to show up or walk into the scene. Michael, one of the holy angels, to wit, he that is set over the best part of mankind and over chaos. That is a lot to handle, man. Yet to have an interaction with the dude that's over chaos, but specific men. I mean, do you ever think that he met, that he met Ezekiel or Daniel, or you know what I mean? Like, and it's so subtle. At least in the story that I'm trying to build, they don't know it, they don't realize it, but they're there. Anyway, Serachiel, one of the holy angels who is set over the spirits who sin in the spirit. Gabriel, one of the holy angels who is over paradise and the serpents. So, thank you, Scrappy. And so when I was thinking about this chief of tens and the other 9 that hang out in the arena of law, certain, what do you call that, the Supreme Court justices, and pushing for abortion. I mean, you see how it's kind of like, it's not that far-fetched, right? And how the serpents hang out there, like they would hang out in that arena because they're using law to manipulate to the best of their interest and to oppress the people. But to counterbalance that, I lost my place. Gabriel is there, and not forcefully, but there's going to be a scene where someone gets into some trouble, who's overwhelmed with stuff, and they built this big thing around him, and Gabriel's there that just push right through it. And so I don't want to give too much detail because I want people to read through it, but you see how that works, and how it's like they're not that far away. I wish I should have described that better, but I've been thinking about this all week. So on to the signs of the earth. I was struggling with that one the most, and but which, hang on, let me, because Infinite Reach Ministries, Michael is the principality over Jerusalem. I don't know if I want to say this correctly, because I know a lot of times that we've been taught that there are certain principalities over certain areas, like logistically, and that may be true. I'm not saying anything against that. Certainly, I live around New Orleans, and there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on down here, right? LA, different. Chicago, I mean, you can't, there's definitely an argument for that, but I have often wondered, like, there's I don't have it pulled up in front of me, and I don't have scripture memorized to point to the number and chapter, but in Revelation, where it says spiritually is Sodom and Egypt, I've thought, and maybe this is a leap. I don't want to mix scripture, but there is a portion in Jasher. My friend Jonathan, who kind of helped me build this Earth character, we'll get back to in a minute. He did a, see if I can pull it up real quick so I can drop it in the chat. He did an awesome show where he and another sister in Christ were how you doing, Noble? Good to see you, man. They were talking about this part in Jasher that it brings up Gomorrah, and there's a specific. Sorry, I lost my clip, so you're just gonna have to look at my hands. There's a specific part, and I believe it's either Josh or Jubilees. Drop it in the chat, where a man goes into a city, and he, the guy that lives there is like, hey, come stay, and he's like, okay, fine. So he gets up to leave the next day. He's like, no, man, eat something. After he eats, he's like, no, just chill. You're good. It's late in the afternoon. And he does this 3 or 4 times. Now, when he goes to leave, then the guy like slams the bill on him. And he's like, no, I never said any of this was free. Like, I expect you to pay me. And then the whole court sides with him. And so you see how I'm building the moon thing based off of that, but the court sides with the man and everything. But the other part of it that it mentions about the city of Gomorrah is that there were families. Everybody talks that Sodom and Gomorrah was all about, homosexuality. That's all that they focus on. Yet in this other book, it talks about all these families and how there was just fornication rampant. Everyone shared their own wives with other neighbors and their daughters, and it was just complete and utter chaos. And so when I again, I don't want to make a leap here, but when I see certain things written in scripture, there are certain times that I look at the cities mentioned spiritually. If you look at America right now, what I just described, that is I would bet a good at least 2/3 of the population, young people. Really, it doesn't matter now any age, but especially young people. There's no waiting for marriage. It's just go have fun. There are some people that are married that do the same thing, and so that whole atmosphere, that spirit is over the entire nation. And when I think about verses such as that, I'm just like, is that what you're talking about, Father? Does it have more than one, or can it not? Does it have it's not a double meaning, but can it be applied to that thought process? As is the only it's the only thing that I'm mentioning. I mean that's the point that I mean. I don't want to give y'all dead air, but I'm like right on this page and I'm looking. I really enjoyed this. Oh, it's gonna kill me, man. Not literally. I don't want to give it up, but I don't want to sit here with y'all just staring at me and get bored. Come on, where you at? All right, give me 2 seconds, and then I'll get back because the Earth character is important. One, Jonathan helped me. He kind of helped me when I got stuck, and I was watching Mike from the Light God Sea Warrior just the other day, and he was talking about the days of Noah, and I realized building this world that I'm trying to do, it I'm not making the claim that there are fallen angels walking around, but kinda, like I can see how it's possible. Is what I'm trying to say. I can see how it could be a thing. I'm just gonna have to give it up. Oh man, um, darn it. Anyway, let me get back to it. Oh man, I'll bore y'all. Yes, Landon. Their bodies aren't temples, just like them. Right, right. if you're interested in it, contact me, or we do a weekly Bible study 3 times a week. Plain Flyer 21, that's my boy. Guy that served in the Navy with Photo Helix. By the way, happy birthday, brother. That was a beautiful video show put together. But isn't that amazing that I meet two people on opposite sides of the earth and they're both into Christ? And they're both, and they happen to know each other years ago. I'm like, what are the chances? So anyway, it's good fellowship, and that was an awesome stream, but I don't know the name of it. I don't see it. The character that showed the signs of the earth, I was having trouble with, and I thought of stuff later, but I'm like, with the signs of the earth, like, how are you going to build a character that corrupts people, that leads them astray, for the signs of the earth? And so I asked for a little bit of advice, and Jonathan said, well, what about those that the kind of corruption and perversion of crops? Because it does say that they sinned against all sorts of animals and the fowls of the air and all these different animals. And does it does say plants, right? Uh, um, that's so meant to take notes. Reptiles and fish and birds and beasts and devour one another's flesh and drink blood. This present moment, it says cut roots. So I mean, anyway, here's the idea. You got a guy who's a farmer. He's got a very modern building, very modern. It's mostly like stainless steel and glass in the middle of like a genetically modified cornfield and everything, and he's splicing things together. And people are saying that it's good because it does all this stuff. I was also thinking maybe he specializes in a wheat that it's not brittle, as they call it. They say this wheat, man, it just grows. It's twice as big, and it doesn't even weigh itself down. It just keeps growing up. You see the symbolism there, right? And as I was thinking over this character and how people are going to see him as good, and like most of these, they're likable individuals. You as the reader get to see how they corrupt, but the relationship and interaction that they have with most people, the people like them because they're planting seeds. And so he's a likable guy, but he's also the chief of tens. And as I said in the other stream, at least I don't believe that I'll be building 200 characters. They'll be there. I'll set the scene. They'll be around. But another one represents transportation, and another one represents like manufacturing or distribution. They all work together. And another conversation that I had with some friends. This is where, to me, it got really real. To where I know that I'm creating a story, I'm making my own characters, but my reflection of the world around me. This is really just a revealing of Babylon. I work at a distribution center, and there are a lot of things that they expire, right? I mean, we're well within what the law says happens, and people, they have dates on them, and you have to throw the stuff away or send it back. So I'm not saying anything about my company, but there's this conversation that I had with some friends as I was trying to put together how on earth, let's just say it's a fruit, and so you have to pay people to farm the fruit, then you have to pay people to pick it, and I don't know what that costs. It's not extremely expensive. It yields a certain amount, and then they have to put it on a truck, and people are paid to ship that to a storage facility. Our the company that is the company head, then they send it to a place like us where we hold it until the grocery stores need it. It's all automated, computerized, barcodes and whatnot. I don't know if you're familiar of what forklift operators and selectors make, but they make a decent living if they hustle. They make really, really good money. Now they only get paid by the case count, whatever they touch. But it ends up amounting to like around, $20, $25 an hour if they're a hustler. So then they have to be paid. There's a bunch of other things in that, but there's a lot of people doing that. And then after it's made to build that pallet, the pallet is then put on another truck of people that have to be paid what truck drivers make, then shipped to the grocery store. Then the grocery store clerks have to be paid to break down those pallets and put it on the shelves. And a lot of times, because people don't buy it, the food rots, and so they have to throw it away or it expires. It never makes it. And I can't in my right mind piece the puzzle together of how that makes a profit. I don't. And the interesting thing about reality is there are people that can show you paper and numbers all day of how it makes sense, but I cannot. There's no way that there's a profit turned up where CEOs make all this money. There's no way there's enough money made from all this for that to work. It really is Babylon. And so that to me is it's just it's real. Like it's again, I'm not saying I've worked for some fallen entity. But as I was building these characters, and I realized that the guy that does the earthly things, he's going to be the one that's in your GMO foods, and he's got people with him, and as he is the chief of tens that are into transportation, and other ones that may be into planes and stuff like that, and there's going to be a corporate side of it. And the more that I was thinking about it, about how these characters work and who they represent, and how they're the CEOs of things, I'm like, when they meet up at this Mount Hermon thing, like that sounds a lot like a Bilderberg meeting. Like it doesn't sound any different than these elites that meet up every few years, and it's just it's shockingly real to me that, and it could be in our lives, in our daily walk, that it's just the love of money that could be the difference, because according to Enoch, these beings are locked in Tartarus until the judgment. But the spirit of that is still there. Oh man, I was just about to switch topics and I missed it. I lost it. It was going to be so important. I don't remember. Anyway, let me catch back up with y'all. I got to get better at reading and going over my thoughts at the same time, but my thoughts just slipped. They started introducing zoo animals against it. Oh, well, this is what it was. And I've mentioned this. Maybe I have a little bit more freedom to go off into another world, and yet the thing that's kind of messing with me is the more that I'm thinking about this other place, this fictional story, or anti-fiction, as I like to call it, because it keeps leading me back to what's going on in my life, what around me, or the things that I see, and the way that this world actually works. But the more that I go off into it, and I'm brought back, I do keep seeing a lot of people that I care about still focusing on the narrative given by the TV, the real thing. When I see the politics and I think about the character that taught the signs of the sun, one of his children is going to be named Apollos, representing. I mean, I do believe that some of the mythologies, I've been going over them, were either the fallen entities themselves, or the giants, like the Hercules and who's the guy, Achilles. They may have just been myth, but they have to have some tie to these mighty men of old. They do, where they're thought up, and And as I was building this Apollos character for the guy who's the son of this entity that's in politics, he doesn't go into politics. He goes into tech because the idea is worship. The idea is not, it's not so much control. I've seen so many people worship our former president, or even it doesn't matter if you disagree with him. It doesn't matter if you can't stand to see the sight of the one that's a president now. If I I, I don't want to say worship, but it is, if he's holding your thoughts captive, it, you're thinking about him more than you're thinking about God. And the thing that I really wanted to talk about, I was trying to tie all this in, and I am at a loss for words. I don't know if I'm doing the best job. But again, this thing about narrative. There's a song I mentioned to a friend earlier where it sounds uplifting, but I know that it's promoted by something fallen that worships evil. And in the song he says, "Stay up on their eyes, stay up on their eyes that don't ever come down. Stay up on their eyes, stay up on their eyes, don't ever come down." And I knew that he was talking about us, and how much they use the television and everything to. I mean, this whole thing, whether it's politics or what's going on over here, or the music industry, it or medicine, it brings our focus to them, and there's the narrative sticks to what they have to say, what they have going on. I know to a certain degree there's a realness to it, because if you walk into a store and they start flipping out, it's because the people that own the store believe in the system that they've been told. But I'm trying my hardest, even at a loss for words, to plant the seeds of, we can't control the national narrative, but we can control the narrative within. And I'm trying to get myself calm enough and comfortable enough to be to have that, the spirit of God over me, to be that rock, to where my heart rate doesn't elevate when someone comes up to me and is screaming at me. I don't get angry with them. I'm saddened by it. It's a very minute trauma, but it's stressful, and I'm saddened by it, and I'm, that adrenaline's still going, but it's just saddening, and I don't want to have the physical reactions that I'm having, and I'm trying to get to the point to be that rock, to stand there, to be as confident as the way that I imagine Michael or Gabriel or any of these other good, archangels would be, if they happen to be in a situation and someone ran up to them and they just be like, "Man, look," not argumentative, but to stand on truth. And I really want to plant the seed to everyone. I don't know how many of my friends are going to see this, and other content creators. And I know a lot of people feel stressed out because of everything that the politics are saying, that the medicine is saying, and all this. And I know that we can't control what they are saying. But if all we're doing is focusing on what they're saying and saying that it's hopeless, then we fail to make any move. We fail to even attempt to create a different narrative, that they have to switch what they're doing to accommodate us. We've seen in certain cities, people weren't having, the things that were going on, and their cities and town halls had to change what they were doing, because they were like, these people aren't having it. And if it is, I know that we're getting closer day to day. I feel it too. But I've seen the narrative where people are like, this is it, this is the end. There's nothing we can do. I know we're getting closer, but I think there's a little bit of time. And if it really is the end, if you really really believe that, then it would be wise to say, God, what do you want me to do? What if this is it? What is my purpose? I know that I wasn't just born to die. I wasn't just born to be born into a world and for them to do whatever they wanted to me, and then that would be it, and I'm off the earth. Because if this is it, if this is totally it, then I would think that it's so sobering that instead of throwing our hands up and going, well, I guess that's it, I'm gonna just wait for him to kick in the door, then it's, Father, what do you want me to do? If I'm on my way out, what is it that you expect of me, so that when I stand before you, you can say, well done, my good and faithful servant. And I don't want to see all of my friends so, not all of them, some of them. At times we all go through it, but hopeless at times, and it's suffocating me, because I love them, and I've kind of crawling into I've been reclusive because of some of that, and at times because of the narrative that they give. But I'm at a point where I'm just like, dude, I'm tired of it. No, I can't. I feel this urge that I was meant for something else. And if I'm on my way out, then I need to figure out what God has in store for me. Oh, hang on. All right. Good evening, everyone. In North Idaho, amazing people. Yeah, it does look beautiful up there. It does look beautiful up there. Anyway, I've been thinking about this all week, and I thought I was going to structure it a little better, but it's always different when you go live. What I was really trying to explain was not what these characters are going to be. It was the spirit I see in the world in all these different arenas, whether it's politics that have this bright shining light on them, and listen to us, we're the good guys, we're here for you, vote for me, worship me, cast your lot for me. Or whether it's people making laws that also receive worship for abominable things, or those in the arena of the thing. It's harder and harder to eat the good things. But the more that I was building these characters in this other world, it just kept coming back. It kept coming back, and I'm like, man, how real is this? Like, it's sobering. But if it were true, I'll just leave you with this, and then I'll go. The more I dwell in that, the more it brings me back here. I've said it a lot, but I really want you to think about that in building this world. And then I just keep seeing it here, and I don't even have to build it. I'm like, oh, it's just like this company or that company. I'm, again, for the last time, I'm not making the claim that these CEOs are fallen entities. But the more that I saw the reflection of it, and I'm like, okay, so if it is true, then we are really meant for mighty things. If those in the days of old, we've all heard it, that they wanted to be here, they wanted to see this time, then we are meant for amazing things with the Father, walking in His light, walking in His truth. That such a powerful force can't stop the Father when He has something intended for His people that listen to Him, His people that do what He says. And I just don't see the world as hopeless, but also don't watch the news. God bless, and have a good day.